I stole close to $1,000 from ages 8 to 10 because I bankrupted them with medical bills. So my family had some financial hardships growing up. I had a severe sickness at 7 and the bills from that were around $250,000, which nearly bankrupted my parents. So I tried to get money for them. I started doing odd jobs like babysitting and shoveling snow, but it was never enough. Until I saw $20 that was laying out on my teacher's desk. I had gone into the classroom when no one was around during library time because I forgot something. So I just took it because $20 was a lot of money for my family, and a lot of work for me. This kept going on for months, and whenever I went to friends' houses, relatives, anywhere, I searched for cash and took it. I became extremely sneaky and even learned how to pick locks. I even stole out of my classmates' backpacks, and one time I even stole cash out of a cash register. No one pays attention to a sickly-looking child. I have mixed feelings about this. My family needed the money, but so did everyone I took it from. I went to school in a poor working-class neighborhood and was taking money from people who needed it just as much as I did. I gave my parents the money as small amounts so they never suspected it. I just had to get this out there. The money for snacks I sell at work go into my own pocket. Sounds a little vague, but I'll clear it up. I work at a gas station, which has its own bakery. In the morning snacks are prepared, eggs, plain croissants filled with cheese, sausage and rolls. That kind of stuff. I work the evening shift and at some point during the evening the snacks get old so I have to throw them out, and write down how much I throw out. I can also write them off much earlier for personal use. There is a certain time where I have to throw them out, but I don't. If customers ask for them, I'll get them and sell them for a huge discount. The regular prices are €2 to €2.50 and I'll sell them for €1 and put that money in my own pocket. I stopped after a little while because it's kinda illegal and can lose me my job. I lied and got a kid expelled from my elementary school. This happened in kindergarten and 10 years later, I still feel like shit for it. There was a kid named Shay who was a little out of the ordinary. He had a mohawk and wore weird clothes, with parents who dressed equally as weird, think like goth clothing, piercings, etc. I don't think his parents really cared too much about him either, which really makes me feel bad about where he might be today. Shay was also a big troublemaker. He was constantly disruptive and didn't follow directions. So he was basically the perfect kid to frame for something bad happening. One day, I was a little dumbass and my 5-year-old brain thought it was a good idea to cut multiple holes in my Aerosmith t-shirt. I came home and my mom asked me where I got those holes from. I didn't want to tell her the truth and said that there was this kid named Shay that was a really bad kid that cut holes in my shirt without me letting him. I pretty much phrased it like he attacked me. As any parent would, my mom went apeshit. She emailed my teacher immediately and my teacher believed it because I was one of her favorite students. She got Shay and I and told him to apologize. He started to cry and said that he didn't do it. She sent him to the office for refusing to apologize and allegedly cutting holes in my shirt. I never saw him again after that. I put a nail under vehicle's tire in a parking garage. At work we had parking garage with tiny spaces for compact cars and larger regular spaces. It would fill up often by 10 a.m., except for the spaces on the roof level where high temperatures would make your vehicle superheated. I drove a small car. I frequently noticed a large luxury SUV that would park in the compact spaces over the line, so taking up 2 spaces. In my mind I thought SUV needed to park on the roof. After about 5 months of this, SUV triggered me and I put a nail in my car. Next time I saw them take up 2 spaces I put the nail under their tire after I parked next to them. Amazingly it got the desired result. I never noticed the SUV doing this again. I felt a little bit shitty about it but also not like I did something that needed to be done. I have nothing against luxury vehicles, only rude parking habits. I stole my dad's 400-pound watch when I was 13 and have never been able to tell him. Still eats me up 17 years later. I was being bullied at school for the way I looked and the stuff I had. My dad had won the watch and he wouldn't have been able to afford to buy it. I stole it and sold it to a shop for £200 just so that I could buy some new trainers and bag for school so that I'd fit in more. He was so happy he'd won the watch, and he looked for it for months. I still hate myself for that. Still can't tell him cause I just don't want to see how disappointed he would be if he knew. Even now I'm 31. I invaded a coworker's privacy by snooping on her flash drive. Found something unexpectedly tawdry. This happened a few months ago, but I think about it often, as I interact with this woman almost every day. This all happened before COVID sent us home. I work on a project with this wholesome, intelligent powerhouse of a project manager. She lives in another city, so when we shared the office space, she would travel in on Monday and head back on Friday. She is a couple years younger than me, a little shy, engaged, and all around just the nicest girl. She does everything right. Takes good notes during meetings, thinks about tasks that need owners and volunteers herself, tracks her own responsibilities to AT, dresses professionally, eats a balanced diet, exercises often. I could go on for days. She's a model coworker and contributor to society. Above all, she's a little bit dorky, but cute nonetheless. I admire her a great deal. Me. I won't go too far into it, but like I said, I'm a couple years older. I try to focus on my career, but I'm not nearly as adept as her at managing my job. At work I try to ignore many of the attributes of the powerful, attractive women I work with. As far as my female coworkers are concerned, I'm an amicable guy and I keep my personal life private. What they don't know is that outside of work I'm a complete pervert and I like to get weird with people online and IRL. The two worlds can never meet. Back to my coworker. Earlier this year we had all been really interested in the new privacy laws since we work for a tech company. We were constantly downloading our personal data from companies we use, and we spend our Slack time chit-chatting about what companies seem to be handling privacy matters better than others. She was telling me that Fitbit gave her a whole lot of data back and she was interested in going through it all. Fast forward a few days after she told me about her Fitbit data. I needed to grab a presentation from her, but it was large and our cloud service wasn't working. I asked if she had a flash drive and she did. Bingo. I asked if she could load it onto that and I'd grab it from her. Once I plugged in the drive, I grabbed the file and copied it over. As it was processing, I noticed a folder titled Fitbit. Genuinely curious, I waited for my file to copy, then opened the Fitbit folder. She was right, there was a ton of stuff in there. I thought maybe I would download my own from back when I used one of their trackers. I snooped a little longer than necessary. I opened a JSON file with all of her heart rate data. Down to a reading every few minutes. At first I was just impressed with the amount of HR data they kept. Then I started comparing the time of day to her HR changes. Pretty steady with a spike here and there. Usually within a few hours after work, but always between 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Here's the kicker. I knew she worked out on certain days because we had a lot of office banter around who was working out when. Her spin class and HR spike always lined up. But every single day, spin class or not, her HR spiked between 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Sometimes it would go up and down and back up for 20 to 40 minutes. When it came down, it came way down, as if she passed out right after the spike. My only conclusion, I was staring at the very moment where she makes herself come before bed. And I know she's alone, because her fiancé is several hundred miles away. I've stolen thousands from my parents for my own personal gain. During the last 2 years of my life, when I was like 15, I've taken advantage of my parents' generosity and stole thousands of euros from them. I did this in order to start making money on my own, as I don't want to go and work a regular 9/5 job in the future. The worst part of this all is that my family lives from paycheck to paycheck, so me taking advantage of them really makes them struggle so much more. But I think it is good for myself, as I want to break this paycheck to paycheck cycle. The way I did it was to tell my parents to give me money for bus tickets and many other small things, usually under 10 euros, but I always asked for 30% to 40% more money than I actually needed. When I came home, I usually gave them a bit of money back, maybe like 5% or so, saying that I had a bit too much money. They never questioned it and were always grateful that I returned the money I didn't spend. The amount of money I gained from this was usually 200 euros to 300 euros each month. The thing is, I hoarded most of that money and started building and selling PCs so that I eventually would have a lot of money and not have to go and work a regular job. I don't think I will tell them that I did this. Maybe I will when I am more successful with what I am doing, then I will definitely repay them, but for now have to live with this.